Hey everyone. Welcome to the Lilith Astrology Hotline. This is something new that I dreamed up literally in the span of like a week. I just was very inspired to do a live stream. I want to do it daily. We'll see. But I really wanted to get on and do some live readings, talk astrology. Hello, hello, hello. I haven't done a live stream like this in so long. I'm excited about it though. I miss live streaming. This used to be my thing like 2020 until basically I wrote my book because the book was a lot of work. Happy Monday. Welcome to the chat. Happy Monday. Yeah, the book was so much work. And I had other magazines I was writing for and projects, so I stopped live streaming as much. And I don't know, I don't really want to live stream on Instagram. I don't know, it's just not my thing. I prefer YouTube. I like this format. And I also stream on Twitch and on Facebook. But yes, I prefer the layout of YouTube more. And today I brought a few cards that I actually recently got. So we're definitely going to tap into the cards today. And I'm also going to do some readings. We'll do them live. This time around, I'm not going to have anyone up on camera with me just yet because there is a sign-up process for that. So I think I put the link down below, but let me actually get it for you guys because you can sign up. So next time, there's a waiting list. There's a lot of people on the waiting list from the podcast, but I'm going to bring people up and I have you guys sign something. This is just like a legal thing saying I can use your likeness and all of that stuff. So that's the big reason for that. But I want to do readings in the chat. We can just do readings this way. So let me find, it's like a Google form. Here we go. So I will drop it in the chat. So that is where you can sign up to be featured next time on the live stream. So yeah. Yeah, so the purpose of these lives is it's a little different than my old lives were. My old lives, I did a weekly horoscope. Now I reserve that for Adama's Witchy Astro Weekly Premium members. I'll talk more about that later. But this is more doing live readings, having people up on the hotline so we can actually do a live reading and talk. And it's a great way to connect regularly, and chat. And I love to talk about some of the current events, the mundane astrology. This is astrology of the world, large events, political astrology. I love to talk about all that stuff. And I love to also give commentary on what's going on in the world right now. So I definitely want to use these lives to do that. And I also want to use these lives to just talk about astrology, different types of astrology, what other types of astrology mean, How do you know what type of astrology you're doing? So yeah, like I'll do a little like 101 conversation in these lives as well too. So it'll be a mix of like readings plus me chatting and talking. And I'm definitely thinking about having some folks on at some point. We'll see. So yes, thank you. So how should we start? So you know what? Let's talk about the astrology topic that I have for you guys today. And this is all about electional astrology, because a lot of folks don't realize you can use astrology as divination to choose the optimal dates for really important events in your life. So, literally, you can use electional astrology to choose a wedding date or the date that you want to propose, or you can choose electional astrology to launch a business. If you want to initiate something new, sign a contract, agreements. So, it's so important to have the planets in alignment, and that can optimize the results. So it's a form of it's astrology, but we can also say it's a little bit of a form of alchemy and divination. So we're using the power of the planets and the position to bring in this result that we really want. So I actually love using electional astrology for my business. I pick launch dates. I pick dates that I want to release certain products. Like I intentionally released my newsletter on the date that I did. And the thing about electional astrology is it's not perfect. So there are rules, which we're going to go over in a minute, but it's not perfect. It's like you can get the moon in the most optimal place you can in a year, but if like Jupiter is in its detriment or not in a great position all year long, you're going to have to pick the best date possible. So no date, there are some perfect dates. I have seen some folks get some really good wedding elections, things like that. Like I've been able to really pick good dates, and you have to be patient and maybe delay certain things a little bit to get that optimal result as well. But I know not everyone can. It's like with Mercury retrograde, the famous advice that every astrologer gives during Mercury retrograde is to not sign new contracts, not agree to new things. So people sometimes have to, like if you've been searching forever for a job and then you finally get an interview during Mercury retrograde, it's like, of course you should move forward and take the job. It's like you can't always plan life, but if you can, Mercury retrograde is a really big guide. And the position of the moon, the health of the moon is the moon in debility. Like moon in Scorpio is challenging. When you are electing a date, you tend to want to have the moon in Taurus or the moon in Cancer, and you want to take a look at the aspects. We have hard aspects. These are the connections between the planets in astrology. And we have hard aspects and we have soft aspects. So you want more soft aspects in an election versus malefic planets like Mars, square Pluto, which we have coming up on September 24th. Not a great date to elect anything on. Just a little pro tip. So September 24th. And I was actually, I was going to shoot a TikTok about it. So you can head over to that. Follow me on TikTok at Lilith Astrology and Instagram. So I was going to post a short description of that there. So I won't get too far into Mars square Pluto, but it can be an explosive day. The last time Mars was squared Pluto was when, I don't know if y'all remember that explosion of the Tesla, that tank looking thing. That was around the time of a Mars Pluto square. So not saying everyone's going to have that happen directly to them, but it can have that effect on society. And so honestly, like everyone be low key that day. Take a chill pill, because also it can amp up conflict in your own life. So it's good to like take a chill pill, with Mars in Scorpio, square Pluto in Aquarius, which is retrograde. Could be grudges from the past, Yeah, so electional astrology is super important. So I actually also recently launched, I haven't promoted it as much as I should be, but I recently launched my Burning Question astrology and tarot reading. And this is a reading for electional astrology. So not only just electional astrology, but if you have a question about a certain date to launch your business, or take an important test, or do an interview, or start a new job, sign contracts, sign a mortgage, have a legal case, this is a great service for that. So I think I have my link down in the description box below for my store, but it's on there, the Burning Question astrology and tarot. And I use both astrology to elect, and then I use the tarot to learn more about the specific situation. But it's so important, electional astrology. And before I do a lot of things, I use electional, even travel. If I can plan trips that are on like optimal dates, depending on the type of trip it is, like if it's like a beach trip or if it's like a work related trip, planning it around the moon cycles and the retrogrades is so important, and the aspects in the chart. So I actually wanted to go over just a few of the strategies, I guess you could say, or the how you can do electional astrology. And so if you really want to like look at a date, if you look at a chart, you really want the moon to be in good condition. So as I said earlier, Taurus and Cancer, a Taurus and Cancer moon will be more optimal than, say, a moon in Scorpio, or the opposition of Taurus where the moon is exalted. So moon is in fall in Scorpio. So you don't want that on a day, say, like if you are planning a important speech, you'd honestly want the moon in Gemini to align with the energy of that day. Like if you can even plan a speech during Gemini season, you're on point. But see, it's like you correlate the planetary placements, like the moon. The ascendant is also very important as well in electional astrology. So that sets the stage for the election. And so you also can kind of like judge the time to pick like something that supports the nature of the activity. So say you're launching a spiritual business, you can judge the time on the day of the election to like Sagittarius ascendant, for example, or Pisces ascendant. Those are very spiritual signs of spiritual growth, ascension. So, or like, I don't know, if you want to start a new job at a bank, go when Taurus is the other rising sign on the eastern horizon. So I love electional astrology. I do it every day, and it definitely, I see a big difference. And there have been times where I've had to sign a contract, even as an astrologer, knowing what I was doing, knowing what's coming. I've signed contracts, and yeah, I think my most Mercury retrograde example was October. It was like October 2020. I had the worst Mercury retrograde. It was Mercury retrograde in Scorpio, if I'm not mistaken. So when it's in your sign, it is rough. And also Mars was in Libra, I think, around that time as well. And I had so many good catastrophic things happen to me. Like it was absolutely wild. So first off, I actually signed for this apartment. I was in the East Village at that time in a walk up, and I had signed that lease during Mercury retrograde. I think it was like 2 years earlier. Knew what I was doing then, but it's like I needed to move. Something's you got to do. You got to do. So it's like it lasted for 2 years until that Mercury retrograde. It started having leaking, and like more like roaches started to appear, and it just started to just go downhill. And then to top it all off, because Mars is like injuries. So it being my Mars return, my Mars is in debility in Libra. And I was taking out the recycling. And because the landlord did such a bad job organizing everything in the trash, I was dropping my recycling in and it was just like really full. So I just like put my recycling down on top. And somehow there was something sharp that I still have a scar from it. I literally have a scar from it still. I have a scar from Mercury retrograde in my zodiac sign. And I literally had to get surgery, like on my hand, because I tore a tendon on some kind of like, it was like a can or something. It just was something sharp, and it was a hot mess. So that is the effects of, I literally signed for that apartment in Mercury retrograde, and then Mercury retrograde in Scorpio, it all came to fruition. So it's important to elect the right dates. So important. So I also wanted to talk to you all, because this has to do with electional astrology as well, about the importance of living by the moon and how that can help us deconstruct patriarchal constructs and also decenter it in our lives. Because right now we are under the Gregorian calendar, which we all have adopted. We all had to adopt this. And even in astrology, we do. Same with the measurement for the time. It's like Greenwich Mean Time. All of this is very much colonial, patriarchal constructs. And it's not the true rhythm of humanity. And it's like this false idea that we must restrict ourselves against the moon, so we're not in alignment with the moon phases and as far as our calendar when we're doing things. And so then that it keeps us out of sync. So it's like once you deconstruct that rigid construct and you have the moon fit into your life in a different way, like more conscious of what sign the moon is in, what condition the moon is in that day, that can show you a lot about the energy of your day, like what's going to happen. Like in daily horoscopes, the moon is really important to look at versus eclipses. That's more like collective societal manifestation. The daily moon is definitely personal life. So I like challenge you all to like look at the moon every day. You can look at it physically, but if you Google, you can go on like moon phases, and you don't have to look at a chart, but it can show you the moon of the day and just like know the moon. Or you also can subscribe to Adama's Witchy Astro Weekly, and in my free tier, and I linked the paid tier down in the description box, but you can also find the free tier on the homepage of lilithastrology.com, which is like right there. But the paid one goes over the moon phases, so I do it all for you. I do all the moon phase for you. I also do the void of course moon, so I'll get into the void of course moon in a second, because that actually is really important when it comes to moon phases and daily activities. But I do everything for you. So it's like all you got to do is open up your Witchy weekly newsletter every Sunday, read it, and then you never have to be like on Google, like what's going on with the blood supermoon in whatever, like, or what's going on with Mercury retrograde, when does that start? Or like, oh, let me go launch this project, and just like not look at anything and then realize later on, like, oh no, I launched that during Mercury retrograde. So you always will know. You always be up to date. So check that out. The premium version as well. So that is actually at a special offer right now that is closing on September 30th. So at the end of, it's like mid next week. And that's $225 a week. So, and you get all of that. And also I'm doing a bespoke planetary grimoire every single week. Of course, horoscopes, tarot forecasts, the moon phases, planetary placements, important aspects for the week. So it's like everything that you need to know, including right down to rituals. And I really choose ingredients that you either have at home or you could literally get anywhere. Or you could get at a local botanica. Or also I did put some of my favorite witchy products too in the newsletter. I actually have one. I have these all the time. And I have these down in the description box below. I'm pretty sure I put a link to, like, I have these like on these like affiliate links. But the psychic cleansing spray is great. It's good for my work. So if you're a spiritual worker, I'm like cleansing all the time. It's like, I want to cleanse right now. Let's light some. Yeah, I'm always cleansing. Because that's also what gives me clear mind to come on and do readings and do horoscopes, because it's like a lot of introspective analysis. So it's like I have to have clear, like, clarity. There's got to be like this energetic cleansing before I do it. So, but yeah, so Adam's Witchy Weekly, I do all of that for you, but the moon is so important to know every day. And once you realize, like, you'll begin to see patterns in your life. Like whenever the moon is in Leo for me, I have that natally in my chart. But whenever it is like there's like a lunar return, I'm always like getting my hair done, or like going on like a fun vacation, or like having some fun, or seeing family because it's my moon. Like it always is colored with that experience. So that's like a really light prediction that you can do, is like just look at the moon every day or read your newsletter. But it's so important to be in sync with the moon. So actually now let's go over void of course. So I also include void of course in my newsletter. And this is not something that's like widely known. This is a lot of witches go by void of course moons, like electional astrologers love void of course. Because basically as the moon is wobbling, when the moon is void of course, it means that the last aspect to another planet has already been made, and there are no aspects before it changes signs. So it's like a kind of like a murky, foggy time where it's not good to rush into new decisions. It can be, there's like lack of clarity, there can be miscommunication. So it's not Mercury retrograde, but it's like a similar vibe where there's a lack of clarity. So you really want to wait until there is no void of course. And that's like an optimal time to take action and initiate. And that is something that's like, it's so nuanced. So of course I put it in practical terms in the newsletter. So super important to, and actually let's see the moon right now. Let's see if it's void of course right now. The moon is not. The moon is actually in a great position. And the moon's in Libra. So here we are, friends. Yes, moon's in Libra. I love this. It's a very like friendly moon. Building relationships. So, okay. I wanted to then talk about just some like trending topics that have just aligned so much with the astrology right now. So first off, today came out that I'm going to call him Kanks. So yeah, I don't want these videos to get suppressed. So I don't know if any of you watched the I've Had It podcast, but they call him Kankles McTaco Tits. This is Orange. So Orange. But he basically is saying that there is a link between autism, Tylenol, and vaccines without any like real research that's been done on this. And it's just like really giving the delusion that is coming up in the collective during eclipse season. We had the total lunar eclipse in Pisces. We had the solar eclipse in Virgo this past Sunday. And what did we have on that day? Kankle's BFF that was just unalived on a college campus. Won't say that name either, but I think you all know what I'm talking about. And you all know my conspiracy about that. I talk a little bit about that in my private podcast, Adama's Witchy Astro Weekly. Yes, I do a private podcast every week along with my newsletter, and that's for premium subscribers. And I talked about I put my tinfoil hat on for a little bit. I'm a conspiracy. I not like QAnon type stuff, so don't think that, but I love me a good conspiracy because sometimes it's like, I don't know. Do you all trust the government? I don't think so. So it's a healthy amount of distrust. But yes, so that is wild. And conspiracies are actually going to be rampant during this eclipse portal. So another thing is eclipse season, it's over technically, but the effects, the manifestation, the story that is going to play out as a result of this eclipse is going to be over the next 5 months. And this eclipse cycle is not over until, I think it's like August 2026. Don't quote me on that. I just started looking at that the other day, and that the next eclipse cycle is going to be in Leo and Aquarius. Lots of fun for the Leo placements and Aquarius placements. With Pluto, lots of change, but that's up next. So we have a lot of delusion going on, and yeah, that whole memorial was, I don't know if any of you tuned in, but it was very like Pisces, Virgo, like that, the religious psychosis, the denial of the truth of who this person actually was and the things that he said. It was wild. And then also, I've read that there are worldwide protests. There's protests of countries overthrowing governments. I think it's really interesting that Nepal, around the time, this was more the total lunar eclipse, they actually were on the visibility line. So Nepal was visible. The eclipse was visible to Nepal. And when a country or a place, when the full moon or the full moon lunar eclipse, honestly, even solar eclipse, if you're on that line, you feel the effects. And so they had basically a revolution and overthrew the government and replaced with a woman leader. So that was them, but there's other similar situations and protests and violence going on in, it's like Philippines I read about, and in Peru as well around this time. And so we've got this Mars Pluto square that I mentioned coming up on the 24th. So I foresee that, getting exacerbated. There could be protests on the 24th. There already are all over, but I think they could intensify. Also, anti-immigration protests I saw in like many European countries. Well, not many, but like a number. And it was the Netherlands at The Hague, and who are the other ones? I think Germany was one, and the UK was another one. So that is also raging as well. And we also know like the rise of fascism as well. Everywhere. So everywhere. And then also, the ongoing genocide in, I'll just say, watermelon. I think you all can fill in the blanks with that as well. And it's just a time of upheaval, reveals, loss, surrender to the unknown. Honestly, a lot of us have to surrender to this this delusion, this craziness. Like it's what can you do? Obviously speak out against it. But also I mentioned in my newsletter how even with this Mars Pluto square, it is receiving support from a grand air trine. So that is 3 planets in one element forming this is like a positive power grid. And the Libra sun, the Pluto in Aquarius retrograde, and Uranus in Gemini, which is retrograde right now. Yeah. Those are all forming a positive connection, supporting the Mars-Pluto square a little bit. So I think this is going to be a big power to the people moment. It was great that they brought back Jimmy Fallon. I think it shows that the collective can work together. And if we really band together, if we protest with our wallets, if we target the system instead of targeting each other and are divided, because even this was a little bit bipartisan. I feel like there were some people that were like on the right that were like, yeah, this is not good. Like, we like freedom of speech. Thank you. And when people band together, we can actually change what is oppressing us, which is, at the end of the day, these patriarchal constructs that we have to live under, like the government, especially right now, and corporations, which literally run the world. So we can be that change if we band together. So there may be another push, and we may see some progress and some change. So I saw this, and I did a video on this on TikTok as well. But I saw someone talking about the statistic, which I looked up. The statistic is true, that millennials are unaliving at a younger rate than older generations for various reasons, health, natural, and also things like homicide and accidents, drugs. Yeah, it's our generation. That's my generation. And a big reason astrologically for this, also not saying all of you are going to be unalived, not saying that, but Pluto and Scorpio, that is our generational planet. So we are all under the governance of Pluto and Scorpio, and that is the Lord of the underworld. It's like Pluto is at home in Scorpio. That's death. That's crisis. And what's really interesting about millennials and Pluto and Scorpio is that Pluto time frame. Pluto and Scorpio defined that time frame. So that's also the collective experience that you all had. And if you really think about the last time when Pluto was in Scorpio, this is like 1983 to 1995 ish. There were some retrogrades. So that time, especially in the 80s, that was the HIV/AIDS crisis. And Scorpio rules over the sexual reproductive organs. And this was a virus that was attacking through the sexual reproductive organs, through the act of sex, and unaliving people, especially gay men back in that time. So, and they didn't know about it. So large numbers. This was a epidemic, a sexually transmitted virus epidemic. So that was the lens of that time generationally, Pluto and Scorpio. There were other really big cataclysmic events around that time as well, but this was one of the main lenses around that time. So that's really crazy to hear about, and it also lines up astrologically. And I want you all to know too, any millennials in the chat, type Pluto and Scorpio if you are. But right now we're also going through our Pluto square. So Pluto is in Aquarius, and that forms a harsh connection. A square, it's a 90-degree connection. That's what we're going to see on Friday with Mars and Pluto. So that's a square. And right now, that's the transit we are experiencing for the next 20 years. So a Pluto square, everyone goes through this, but it's pretty much like a once-in-a-lifetime experience. And it's like you experience upheaval. Your Pluto and Scorpio activates. And it's a lot of not only ego deaths, seeing other people die, having complete change in reality, going through different cycles in your life very quickly. Life kind of like speeds up when you have your Pluto square. Pluto and Scorpio, millennials. And also, this is interesting to think about Scorpios, or if you have like Scorpio moon or Scorpio ascendant, you are like even more intensely Scorpio than other generations Scorpios. Because you're the only ones alive that have Pluto at home in Scorpio. So it's like we have those intense experiences. So we're going through a Pluto square. And if you are older, if you're Pluto and Leo, if you're a boomer, you're going through your Pluto opposition. So this is a little bit different. So an opposition is a hard aspect as well. And basically, this is where you can face certain aspects of your ego, of yourself. Leo rules over the self, the ego, of your creativity, your self-expression. I definitely think, like, especially the older generations, and this is a little anecdotal. From my experience, they did a little bit more of what they were supposed to do than us in this generation now. And I think it's because they grew up with like things are a lot cheaper. Like it was a lot easier to find work and like get a house and a car, and like things were a little bit more affordable back then. But that was a time where people were like, oh, well, I guess like, I'll get this stable job, or I'll stay in this hometown, or I'll have 2.5 kids or more. And people now around that same age, like even like 20s to midlife, they are choosing differently, but not even because they want to, but because that is the way society is now. And that's also going back to, it's just absolutely insane that in society, in this administration, they're like saying that women should have kids and what we should do, but then not providing the programs or the care for the mothers. So it's like this old, like, this is like Reaganomics, where it's like, we want you to do this and do this for society, but we're not going to like help you. every man for himself. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. So it's like you're going to have to change and face some of those patterns. And I think also with Pluto and Leo, I think some of that generation's going to have more fun, like tap more into their inner child and release the expectations of what other people think. Like I think that people back then, like in like the 50s, 60s, 70s, like you conformed a lot more than now. So I think a lot of boomers are finding themselves after like their 60s, which I think is great. So I love how we just got into the Pluto transits. So let's do some questions. I don't know. Do you guys like have any? I'm taking questions live. If you guys don't have any questions, we could get into some live readings. But let me know if you have any questions about the astrology. If you do want a reading, please put your birthday, the time, the location, and then if you have like a specific question or concern or something like that, that would be great as well. And we'll do some readings. But you know what? I'm like actually feeling like I'm going to get it started and tap into just the collective. Let's tap into the collective that's here. And then we're going to tap into the collective that may watch this live at a later date and tap into what's going on. And I'm really loving this deck. And I'm recommending this deck to all my clients that like, ooh, question, let's see. When can the collective expect even a little crumb of levity? I know. See, this is like what's challenging because it's like I want to keep it real with you guys, but I also this is where we'll get into the individual. So this is the thing. What's going on with the collective is very different, and there are good things going on with the collective, kind of, but in your own individual life, it can be very different. So we can go over what's going to give you some levity. If you want to drop your info below, we can do a reading. But in terms of the collective, I'm actually looking forward to when Saturn is out of Pisces forever. Like, get the fuck out. I'm so fucked up with this transit. This has been going since March 2023. And Saturn is just lame in Pisces. It's just like whiny, but it's also domineering, and then it like won't let you just like move out of the drudgery. It's just like pulling you. It's like, nope, you got to get in it again. You got to get through that again. So that is letting up February 2026. So I mean, it does mean that Saturn is moving into Aries, and Saturn is in fall in Aries, but it's still a lot better than Saturn in Pisces because Saturn is receiving support from a lot of actually all of the outer planets now are in air. So this is called the Great Transmutation. This is like a big collective analysis of these big generational transits. And we've now, since it's like 2020 to 2023 was that big transition time. And we moved out of like Pluto in Capricorn, now in Pluto in Aquarius in air. Uranus is now in Gemini. We're out of Uranus in Taurus. And Saturn and Neptune will both be in Aries. So these are synergistic energies together. All these zodiac signs all work well together. So that's what I think is positive about next year. It's not to say that there's not going to be violence. Like, I mean, there's violence all the time. I mean, it's as long as there's, you know, men like Kinkles make taco tits on the planet, that's what we're going to get. But I think around, ooh, stop it. I, of course, get the death card. Like, I can't. Spiritual transformation, new beginnings, letting go, endings, change, transition, unexpected upheaval, cleansing, purging. This was like, even though, oh my God, and Pluto and Scorpio, stop it right now. Pluto and Scorpio, it's like, I love these cards. So check these out. These are great for clients. So I've been using them on social to like show you guys them. Card number 13 as well. And yeah, they're great. They're the learning tarot cards. So they're great because it like actually breaks down the symbology, descriptions, like all of that stuff. It's really, really awesome. And I do love a good classic Rider-Waite tarot. So that's what it's based on. It's wild that the death card came out. Like, and I didn't even need cards to channel Pluto and Scorpio here. I mean, it's like right there. So that's definitely in alignment with this eclipse. But to answer your question, because of this great transmutation, we're getting out of earth and water and the drudgery that can happen there. We're now getting into more active signs that synergistically work together. And we have not, because we've had like Pluto and Sagittarius, like we've had a fire Pluto, we've had Pluto in Libra, but Pluto in Aquarius is rare. We haven't had this since around the time of the Revolutionary War. There are multiple revolutions going on in Haiti, in France. So it's a revolutionary time, and it's a rebellion of the collective, of the people, of humanity. It's Aquarius. It's also an information age as well. And we've got Uranus and Gemini going on right now, and that is definitely bringing that rebellion and revolution and shock and chaos to the media and writing. And even as like I'm in astrology media, and even our craft and what we do has transitioned from, like, I've written for a lot of magazines. I still freelance here and there, but a lot of us have transitioned into our own independent ecosystems, and that is where a lot of this is going. And a big reason for that is you get strikes, you get like shadow banned and things like that on these networks. So it's like, okay, well, I talk about the real tea in my own private on my own private website, littleastrology.com, in my newsletter, where I can like speak freely, but you've got to like use code words and things like that on social media. And that's very Uranus and Gemini. It's really interesting with Uranus and Gemini. I wrote about this. I have an article on my blog on lilithastrology.com. So go check that out. And I did a whole podcast episode on it. But Uranus in Gemini, the last time we had this was when like the atomic bomb was developed, and like Nazi Germany and World War II and all that fun stuff. But there was also really interesting stuff like innovations in air flight. Like the first round the world flight was flown around that time. I think it was like fastest or something like that. There was some telephone changes. Oh, also the computer. I think like the first computer was developed, like that foundational big ass computer was developed back then. And then I also went back in time because I was really interested in the different cycles, what happened. And I realized that back in, oh my God, I can't remember the dates, but it's like 13 something, 14 something. The printer was mechanized, like to print newspapers and to mass produce communication. So that was when Uranus was in Gemini way back then. And that happened in Germany. And what's really funny is actually this summer, I went on this is like my partner's family lives there, and it's like his heritage. And we went to, in Nuremberg, his name was like, oh my God, I can't remember his name right now, guys. I'm sorry. He's the man that did the printing press. I can't remember it. But we went to, we saw his house, and there was a whole exhibition. I can't remember his name right now, but I thought it was so weird that literally the entrance of Uranus and Gemini, I'm back in this foundation. Okay, thank you. Gutenberg, yeah, that's his name. But I was there during Uranus and Gemini, and then since we were in Nuremberg, I literally was in basically where they had the trials. This is where Hitler had one of his castles was there. So I was like, wow, I feel like I'm revisiting where there was the groundwork for this period of time that we're in. It was crazy. Oh yeah, so Albrecht Dürer in Nuremberg. Yeah, so he mechanized the printing press or something like that. He did something to further along communication. But that is also on deck for this time period, and it's 7 years. So this is a larger transit. So this is a time of if you're in communications, if you have Gemini placements, if you're a writer, this is a time where you want to think outside the box on how you want to actually share the information. Because you can just look at people getting canceled, and then they're finding their voice and having a much better experience doing their own thing, being independent. Queen of Cups. Oh, this is funny. So this is this. It's interesting. This card talks about empathy, matriarchal leadership, and yeah, this is I think a lot of us are stepping into more of that need and desire for leadership like this. And I think also in your own individual lives, some of you may be facing certain wounds around the mother, or certain challenges that you have gone through around family and the moon. I think there's a reason why I was talking about the moon a lot during this broadcast. Also, we just went through eclipse season, but a lot of healing is going on right now. I think a lot of need to nurture yourself. I think we all could use a little self-care right now. Oh, I love this. The Sun and the Knight of Pentacles. And it's interesting, I was talking about Leo as well, Pluto and Leo, but the Death, the Queen of Cups, Sun, and Knight of Pentacles coming out, it's you're someone here, if not all of you, are stepping into a time where you are becoming the leader of your life and what you want. You're stepping into a new reality. You're going through a transition. You're going through change, but you're stepping into yourself, your authenticity. I think some of you there may be a promotion coming in for some of you, or a breakthrough. Some of you may move somewhere that it aligns with you, somewhere you really want to go. Some of you may have some new opportunities, some new projects, and it's really exciting. So it's not all doom and gloom, everyone. It's not. But yeah, it's not fun either. So let's pull from the Ancestors deck. Oh, yes. I love that deck. Definitely check that out. It's down in the description box below. And I listed it in my Amazon affiliate page as well. And also I list my other favorite decks. This is I got this recently as well. So this is the Secrets of the Ancestors Oracle by Abiola Abrams. She sent me this and it's such a great deck. And I have this listed in my affiliate as well. So let's see what the ancestors have to say. Woo. So we have, wow, really interesting how Mother of Earth, Fertile Ground came up. This is very aligned with the Knight of Pentacles. I love it when the same cards come out again with a different deck. But this is, again, like opportunity. A shift, a complete change towards more fertility, more abundance. See, there's like these coins here. I love that. Then we also have the loner, isolation and introspection. This is like giving the Hermit, which is also associated with the zodiac sign Virgo. And I think this eclipse season, some of you may have been like a little bit more introspective, taking time. I know I have. Honestly, it feels a little crazy out there. So enjoying the four walls and the safety of them. But a lot of you may have been in that mode, but you're stepping into the star after this time of transition. I really love this. This is like a nice like ascension process that I just pulled here, where it's like you are letting go of the old, releasing, purging, removing away worthless matter, things that don't matter, people that don't matter. And this was a big purge. But now we are on the other side of that and we're stepping out of that. I'm really excited. So I want to show you guys. So these are some other cards that I got. I mean, they're probably AI, like whatever. Not the ones that I just showed you, but these two that I want to show you guys. And these are more for specific readings, specific questions. Like if I get a burning question and it has to do with like a legal case or like something related to the judicial system or investigative, I got true crime oracle cards. So I'm like, and it's really interesting, but it's like, these are more specific if I feel like if a client is asking about something specific like that. So like, let's pull from the deck. Let me pull from the deck. But I love these like themed cards sometimes because they can give you like perspective on a specific situation. I love how like, so the hidden motive. Explore underlying motives behind actions or decisions. Consider what drives people to act in certain ways and how these motives may influence the situation. Look for deeper layers of meaning. You see this like, I guess a crime taking place. I don't know. But they're cute. I like them. So check out that deck. I definitely have that on my affiliate as well. And then this is another one. So they sent me this by accident. I was like, I ended up liking it. So this is the Burning Heart Love Oracle. So this is a good one for like love when you want like questions. You have questions, you know. So I like to have these kind of decks on hand when there's like a specific question. Woo! A lot just came out. Let's shuffle them up again. All right. So if you guys like want to do readings, drop your info in the chat. Drop your birthday, birth time, location, and if you have a certain question. I mean, it's a little bit, it's not cheesy, but it's like a little bit. So this one is, I wish you were here with me. But I don't know. There's like different ones. I like these cards because you just never know what issue, whether it's a client or if you're dealing with something in particular. So I really love these ones. And then, of course, you know I've got to promote the Black Moon Lilith Cosmic Alchemy Oracle. These are the back. But this is my Oracle card deck. And, of course, I moved the box very far away. Right here is the box. Oop, just totally like knocked that over. So let's pull a card from my Cosmic Alchemy Oracle card deck. Interesting. So, wow, this is in alignment with what I was just talking about. So I got the Adam card, Dark Divine Father of Creation. So Adam is the allegorical patriarchy in the mythology of Lilith. And I was just talking about how we're on a downward spiral because of this system of oppression that even men are subjugated by the patriarchy. So, because even within patriarchy, Adam was like ruining his relationship over needing to be the boss versus working synergistically and balancing the masculine and feminine. And that is what this story can teach us. But that is what is going on right now. And is this dark masculine like shadow that is coming up for them to see, but it's like they've got to see it. This is what's going on right now. They've got to face and see their own shadow, but unfortunately that's when we have mass unalivings because they're not liking the shadow that they're seeing. All right, so we have some readings. Oh, yes. We have a Lilith. I love when Lilith comes out. I love this. Yes. So I actually didn't talk about this yet. So since this administration, there's like 300,000 and counting Black women that have been pushed out of the workforce. And I talked about this in my Black Moon Lilith in Scorpio webinar it was like February, March earlier this year when that transit first started, how we are going to see an increase of marginalization and subjugation of Black women, other marginalized groups. There is going to be an increase in oppression. And yeah, that's what's going on. That's what's going on. So it's like we're having to embody our dark feminine rage, our Lilith, and continue to push past these systems that are trying to oppress us. Like, do everything we can to rebel against it and reclaim our sovereignty and our power. Economic power is power in this world. So there's a lot going on. All right, let's do some readings here. All right. So I'm just going to put your chart up. All So right now, so for you, the first thing I look at first is Uranus in Gemini with your Gemini ascendant. So this is a very important transit for you. And your Gemini ascendant, I use Placidus, is at 16 degrees. So it's going to be about like 3 or 4 years before Uranus is exact. And right now, Uranus is coming from the 12th house. So it's going to be, it's like kind of like rumbling beneath the surface. It's something that's hidden right now, but there is a big change in your appearance coming, how you present yourself to other people. You may change into a persona that is more authentic to who you truly are. And you also have the moon there as well. And I see you have Chiron. So you also could change your life path. Maybe I don't know if you want to be a writer or channel your healing abilities into communication, maybe even childhood communication that's associated with Gemini. That could be something that's coming your way over the next few years. But that is a big revolution in how you show up in the world. So that's really exciting. And then you also are having a Venus-Jupiter transit. So Jupiter it just formed a exact conjunction. Right now it's separating, but it's still pretty potent. And that's in your second house of money. So first off, Venus and your sun in Cancer in the second house of money is great. I do want to also say you have Black Moon Lilith, true Black Moon Lilith, also all together in your second house of money. So of course it's not like with Venus makes everything easier when she's in the second house. She's dignified in the second house, but there is always that shadow of not feeling like enough, or feeling like you can't assert your worth. You feel scared to assert your worth. So there's that dark feminine shadow there, but Jupiter is coming along to bring some relief in that area of your life. So let's pull I'm thinking the tarot. Let's pull the learning tarot. But yeah, right now you could be going through a nice shift financially. I do also want to note that Jupiter is forming a square to Chiron, and that is conjunct your natal Jupiter in Aries. So I know I mentioned Chiron, and you're probably like, what's Chiron? So Chiron is the wounded healer in astrology, and archetypally, he is where we can experience our deepest wounds, but it's also where we are healers and where we can empower others and heal ourselves through helping others through what we went through. So that's why I'm like getting like, I don't know if it's like teacher or spirituality, sharing your wisdom, but Jupiter is square Chiron, but then also square your natal Jupiter. So Jupiter is the planet of luck, prosperity, growth. So I think right now you may be going through some breakthroughs when it comes to what you do, your career, how you show up. So the Ace of Wands came up, and this is like, and it's interesting, it's associated with Aries, fire. So I think you're in for some forward momentum soon. I think that you're coming off of this eclipse. I think this was in your area of home and also of career as well. So I think you are transitioning in those places in the area of life, and this is going to ultimately lead to this new like revolution of self. And your Pluto square which we were talking about. So you have your Pluto at 7 degrees, and that's on the cusp of the 5th and 6th house. So Pluto in Aquarius is in your 9th. So when your Pluto square, it's at 7 degrees, probably be like a few years. Your Pluto be exactly square. Like you may like write a book or like launch a project that is very significant. It's the 5th and 9th house. You could move abroad. You could travel abroad as well or teach. It's 9th house. Oh, wow. So first off, the Page of Wands, and this like Sagittarius energy, and this came out in the reverse. So I feel like the tarot is kind of calling you out here. Acting out, lack of energy, discouragement, obstacles. And so you may be dealing with that now, or this eclipse cycle, you may have been clearing up some of those patterns that may have held you back from certain things in your life, like certain things that you wanted to achieve. I would like some insight into calmer energies. It's interesting that in the past few years, I've begun to work with Lilith. It was like prep for the current turmoil that you're feeling, fighting back against oppression, using that feminine rage. Yeah. And we have the Two of Pentacles as well. So this is giving like indecision. This can be hangups or challenges around finances, trying to juggle a lot. And this is also like you may feel a bit unstable, but you're learning to work with the instability right now. I think right in this moment. So with that said, I'm going to pull one from Lilith, and Black Moon Lilith is in Scorpio. So that's been conjunct Pluto earlier in the year in your 5th house. So you had that Pluto, Black Moon Lilith conjunction transit. And then also the Mars-Pluto square is going to activate your Pluto as well. So I also, because since it's like on the cusp of the 5th and 6th house, I would like be careful of, like I told you all my story about how I had to have hand surgery, because I did not wake up that day thinking I was going to injure myself, but it was like a sudden thing. So be aware that day of sudden accidents, falls, things like that. And that's the 24th. If you're traveling, just be aware that day as well. I love this. And we have Black Moon Lilith in Aries, lead your life. And this is definitely like feminine rage for sure. And I feel like Black Moon Lilith in Aries definitely represents the shaming and suppression of women's anger and feminine rage, because in a patriarchal society, we're taught that we are not allowed to be that. And then also it's to keep you in line. It's to keep you in submission. Because when you're taught that you should agree with everything all the time and never cause a fuss, never cause conflict, never cause a ruckus, like Black Moon Lilith in Aries, you shrink yourself. But I think you are like, breaking through some of those patriarchal beliefs. And I think as a collective, during Black Moon Lilith in Scorpio, we are all doing that shadow work around the patriarchal wound and then also our witch wound. I talked about the witch wound rising to the surface in my Black Moon Lilith in Scorpio webinar. And I also talked about it in the welcome letter to my newsletter, that it's coming up right now. I would say in astrology, Black Moon, Lilith, and Scorpio can be considered a witch wound. There was some sort of ancestral or lineage trauma or subjugation that lives within your subconscious. So I think a lot of us are awakening to some of these things now, because it's being triggered by what's going on in the United States and on the world stage. All right. Sophia. Yeah. Okay. Some insight into career. Okay. So you are a Leo ascendant. You should have the time right. Okay. Yes. Leo ascendant, Aquarius sun with Jupiter. So Pluto in Aquarius is really big for you right now. And you have in your career house and your midheaven, you have Taurus, and you have Mars in Taurus conjunct your midheaven. So that is the area of the public, your career, and your profession. So Uranus moved out of Taurus. So this has been a 7-year transit prior to right now that you've had major shakeups in your career, upheaval. It has not been stable. Or you also may have had a very unconventional career path. And this could be something maybe artistic or creative, or something to do with food, or creating experiences for people, very like Mars and Taurus. And now with Uranus moving out of Taurus this summer, it was July. Now for the next 7 years, that instability is going to relax, which is great. So it's still in your 10th house. I use Placidus house system. And so you have not only Taurus dominating your professional life, but you also have some Gemini there as well. But it's not going to be as potent because you had Mars in Taurus. So a Uranus-Mars connection can be very unstable, intense, and there can be a lot of upheaval and sudden events. So now that's starting to subside. I think towards the tail end of this Uranus and Gemini transit, you have the South Node and you have Saturn in Gemini in your 11th house. And that represents your network, your peers, large groups. And this is also your future vision. So when Uranus is going there, it's going to completely shake up that area of your life. You also may meet influential people that could help you on your path. You can have a complete change in your community and who you surround yourself with. And this is also like rules like the internet and like connectivity with others. So your career could transition into something in that realm. That will be like halfway through this. Actually, no, the last part of this transit. So like the 5th to 6th year. So that's really exciting. And you have Venus ruling over your career. And your Venus is in Capricorn. That's on the cusp of your 5th and 6th house, but Venus and Cap in the 6th, you are a very hard worker, and that is forming a positive connection with your Mars in Taurus, and it's retrograde. So I think you can go through a lot of conflict with certain colleagues in the workplace. Maybe you feel like you aren't valued. Maybe you can have some conflict with support staff as well. So that may have been really intense during Pluto in Capricorn. So that was from 2008 until like literally we pretty much moved out of that 2024. So that now is also starting to subside. And now Pluto is moved into Aquarius though. But since you have Sun and Jupiter in Aquarius, I think that this is coming to bring some growth and luck to your work life, because Jupiter and Pluto conjunction, it can be pretty positive. There can be some sudden events and some change and upheaval, but Jupiter always wants to give you what's best for you. This also can indicate maybe some changes around health during Pluto in Aquarius. So I think it's really important to make sure you're getting regular checkups, being monitoring yourself, making sure you're taking care of yourself, because sometimes Pluto can bring some changes there as well too. That's like a really quick one. So let me do some cards for you. And your Pluto in Libra. So that's Gen X. But yeah, the Uranus moving out of Taurus is really big for your career. Oh, another thing that's going to be really big for your career is midway during, whoops, just dropped a whole bunch of cards. Midway during Pluto in Aquarius, Pluto is going to square your natal Mars in Taurus. So that represents major changes for career. Major changes. Like you're really going to want to, you could go out on your own. You could do something more entrepreneurial and completely change your career path, what you want to do. Whoop. So we have, wow. So the first card that came out is the Five of Cups. So this is like, I call this the crying over spilled milk card. And it's also associated with Mars in Scorpio, which we are in right now. So you may feel like right now you're kind of like, when are things going to get better? When are things going to change? Like I'm just kind of like looking at my spilled cups. But it's like, I always love how in this card behind him, which he's not looking at because he's too busy crying over this, there are some hidden gems, some opportunities, some things you can still cultivate, even though something challenging has happened. So you also may be feeling right now as well like you're working hard, battling uphill. This is really interesting. This is Saturn in Sag, and this is like in opposition to your natal Saturn. So you kind of feel like overburdened right now, and yeah, just like dealing with some not feeling optimistic, and like you're just doing all the work, a lot of responsibilities, weight on your shoulders, drudgery. Drudgery is also associated with the sixth house, where you have your sun, you have Jupiter, you've got Venus retrograde, you have Black Moon Lilith in Aquarius there. So this also may be something from your lineage in regards to service, drudgery. Maybe there were people in your lineage who were enslaved or servants, or they had to deal with a lot of financial changes. And we have the Judgment card and the Page of Swords as well. So I think a really important crossroads is coming up, where you are kind of like awakening to, I love how I'm pulling the Judgment card on the day before the rapture. That's allegedly happening tomorrow on social media, and fundamentalist social media. This is the Judgment card, and this is like awakening. And I think coming soon, you're really going to have an awakening to like how you can get yourself out of this situation. Page of Swords is like someone who, this is actually giving very like writer energy. This is Gemini energy. And this is like information, logic, someone who has a lot of energy, ideas. So I think your ideas, your thoughts, what you want to do creatively is really what's going to get you out of the situation that you are currently feeling, if you're feeling like stuck. Thank you. Loving this. The last few years have had some ups and downs, and I've been looking for something to do in my future and what changes to make. I do feel that I'm in a crossroads. Yeah, I definitely feel you're in a crossroads. And I was feeling, because I started talking about your lineage. I'm going to pull from the Ancestors Oracle. Wow. Ancestors. Risk it all. The root of fire. This is giving like a wands card, like moving forward, moving ahead, risk it all. And I'm actually feeling inspired to read from her interpretation, because that's like really interesting. Yes, you can make it happen. It is safe for you to feel beyond your usual limits. Embrace your personal freedom and follow your passion. Be curious. If you are an advocate for social issues or an activist, let your voice be heard. You can make a difference. That's very much Uranus in the 11th house as well that I mentioned, where you have Saturn and the South Node in Gemini retrograde. You may be passionate about helping other people. You've got the moon in Cancer there as well. And 11th house is a very humanitarian house. And so that could be a direction that may be coming up for you, according to the ancestors here. So lean into that if that's your passion, helping others, taking care of others, being a nurturer, kind of like the Queen of Cups that I pulled earlier for you guys, like the divine feminine nurturer, the healer. And it's like healers come in many different forms. It's not just about like healing the skin or energy healing, but there are people who heal through financial education, people that heal through helping other people and working for a nonprofit. So there's different paths to help the collective. All root and plant spirits are messengers. The root of fire, also called the African dream root, is an indication to move ahead. This plant ancestor wants you to explore your passions with enthusiasm. So, ancestral medicine. Stop tiptoeing. Your ancestors were brave in ways you cannot even imagine. Acknowledge their lessons of courage within your own journey. I like that one. And this corresponds with the Page of Wands, which I remember pulling a bit earlier. And then the other card that came out was Altar of Water, Love Ever Flowing. This is a beautiful card. It's giving Oshun. It's giving like goddess of creativity and sweetness and beauty. So I think this is also like giving like self-love as well. So not risking it all, but moving forward with, you have a little delulu and think about your dreams and step into self-love, step into what makes you happy, what makes you joyful, and what makes you overflow with love. And then that is how also you'll attract the right opportunities to you as well. And maybe it's doing the very thing that you're passionate about, whether it's doing it online or joining a community or an organization that's in the realm of where you want to go. Because sometimes jobs or careers can kind of just happen when you're getting involved in the community and like living your life, you know? All right. So let's do your chart. All right. Oh, so I was just talking about Peru, how they're having a lot of protests because of the corruption with the government. All right. So You are a Scorpio ascendant with a Leo moon and an Aries moon. And you are a millennial as well. So you also have the North Node and Pluto conjunct in Scorpio in your first house, close to your ascendant. So you have gone through a lot of karmic experiences, situations. You are definitely like, I want to do the tarot for you. You're definitely going to feel the Mars Pluto square that we have coming up on the 24th, because so Pluto is in your fourth house of home, and then Mars will be in your first house. It's going to form a conjunction with your Pluto. So you're definitely someone who I would also say, like, watch out. I don't want to be like negative, but it's like, I rather warn you. And it could be a very minor thing, transit. It may not be, but it's like, I think be careful of, like, you could find water damage in your home. Sometimes that happens with this Mars Pluto square. You may try to avoid accidents in the home. Don't do risky things like balancing on ladders and things like that. And just like take your time as you're moving throughout your day. Make sure as well, and this is something we should all be doing, everyone, for our safety, locking up your house properly, making sure windows are locked, security cameras, alarms are on. And I say that because Mars-Pluto square can bring, especially with Mars in Scorpio, it just can bring crime out in general, in the collective. So not to like scare you, but I just want to warn about that aspect that's coming up. You also have Saturn in Pisces. So you have Saturn in Pisces in the fifth house. And usually when people have Saturn Pisces in the fifth house, it can mean that you had to grow up fast. You had to kind of be like a young adult when you were a child. You may have gone through some challenging experiences that kind of made you grow up fast. It's also in opposition to Venus in Virgo. And right now you're having your Venus return in Virgo. So this can bring back themes around your childhood and your self-worth. And also themes around money, finances may have been challenging. So you just finished up your Saturn return, your first Saturn return. Congratulations. Must feel great because that has been happening since March 2023. And this is a time of Saturn's lessons. And for you, it's in your fifth house. So you may have had some of these lessons around your childhood, maybe around children, maybe around motherhood and the role of a mother that may have come up for you during your Saturn return. Also, maybe some creative blocks or idea blocks. Maybe not like, also maybe kind of like a drought with romance this can sometimes bring. But that is all going to shift. So Saturn moved back into Pisces. It was in September. I can't remember the exact date. But now Saturn is like at the final degree of Pisces retrograde for the last time until like 29 years from now. So that is going to transition back into Aries in February. So you're having one last resolution of your Saturn return. So it's almost over. It's really, I promise, it's almost over. Yeah, my Saturn return was like pretty, there was great things that came out of it. And I think that's the beauty of the Saturn return is you look back and you're like, yeah, that needed to happen. But it's like, it was not fun. Like there's some aspects of that was not fun. Not more water damage. So that's something that you've been experiencing is water damage. So I would actually, it's interesting. I was talking about my water damage at the beginning and I don't even need cards. I just started channeling you guys without even needing cards. There's a reason why I was talking about the water damage. So I would maybe this week be aware of that. And I don't know, like monitor it, or if there's certain spots that you know it's going to be, preemptively put like some buckets, things like that. So I pulled a bunch of cards out for you. So this is like Sagittarius energy. This is kind of like competition. This is like physical activity. So I think right now you may be like, oh my God, literally, yes, left your marriage in May. So yeah, you were like on the run for a bit. You were kind of like busy, like coordinating certain things, starting to bring yourself back. So, and also the Mars Pluto square is a change in home, because you have Pluto in the 4th house of home and family. So Pluto entered for good, literally like 2024. So now Pluto is coming, it's bringing like changes to your home life and you as a person, as an individual. That's your ascendant. Well, that's also yourself and your persona. That is all changing. And it's ending, Scorpio. So a lot of action, a lot of busyness, but I love this Queen of Pentacles. And this is who you are stepping into. You're starting to bring yourself back. You're rebuilding yourself financially. You are finding your creativity and using that to build your stability. And a capable woman who is also both a mother and a businesswoman. But this is like matriarchal leader energy. And I love this as well. We've got to love the Wheel of Fortune. This is Jupiter energy, and this is good luck and chance. And this is also like the circle of life and like taking a gamble on yourself. And this is also teamwork. So this may be what you're going to be focused on more is your work and working with collaborators, working with a team. But I think you also should be aware of getting to kind of going back to these old habits. It's like this Venus in Virgo, where this card is totally giving like Venus in Virgo type energy, where it's like stress around money, and it's because of like things in your lineage or how you grew up that like created those stories around money. So this also can create unnecessary stress. So we've got the 9 of Swords as well, and like anxiety. So it's like, are you getting yourself in that mental pattern? It's like, is that worth it? Or is it true? Are these just stories? Like, these are the things to like ask yourself, I think, at this time. And yeah, it's like, I think this is what this new moon solar eclipse in Virgo really did, because this was on your Chiron and your Venus in Virgo, and that was really activating that area of your life. And this is also self-worth in friendships that this transitioned as well. So this is also like self-worth in like your groups. So maybe you are ending certain peer relationships, changing communities, changing how you feel in your friendships. Like, you want to be in connections that you feel valued. And I love this. We have the 7 of Pentacles, working on your money. So that's like a really big theme, working on your money, working on your stability, which I think in your situation right now, like, that is definitely the best thing to do. But don't get yourself like too wrapped up in like the anxiety and the stress around the money and these people. Like, you make the decisions that are right for you, you know? Not to sound cliche. So let's do one more card from my Black Moon Lilith Cosmic Alchemy Oracle. And then I think we'll close off the live stream. Like, I mean, I think like I want to try to do this pretty frequently. I was like ambitious, thinking like, oh, I can do this every day. We'll see. Like, I still got other social media channels, and then the newsletter and whatnot. But I really want to like be on here live more with you guys. It'd be fun. So I won't say see you tomorrow, but you might. So in that case as well, make sure whatever channel that you're on that you hit subscribe and you click the bell or click notifications, because I won't always email before I go live. So then you'll know when I go live and when I'm chatting. This card is really coming out today for all of you. Black Moon Lilith in Aries, lead your own life. So this is time for you to lead your own life. Literally, as you said, like you're stepping out on your own. You are reclaiming your sovereignty and you are tapping into who you are, your spiritual gold, projection. So this is the phase in alchemy when we step into our light. We embody our sun. We embody our life path, who we are as a person. And projection is when we naturally radiate that out into our auric field, into the world around us, that then attracts and magnetizes opportunities to us to support that spiritual gold. So I think you're headed in that phase, like you're in like a transition phase in alchemy, but it's like you're now stepping more into that authentic version of yourself. So that's really exciting. And then, as I mentioned, in 2026, we've got the Leo Aquarius eclipse cycle, and the nodes of the moon will be going there as well. So that's going to really activate your sun. And I don't know what it is right now with the sun slander on most specifically TikTok. I don't know if it's the same on other social networks, but most specifically TikTok. I don't know if it's because like people are like learning more about their charts. And so they're like, oh, the sun is nothing. And it's like, the sun is your spiritual gold. In ancient alchemy and alchemical texts, your sun is your source of light. And it's also like obvious, like the sun is shining in the sky. But people like equate the sun to like sun sign horoscopes and like pop astrology or something. And it's like when you don't embody and understand your sun consciously, that can lead to depression and misalignment and not feeling like yourself. Like you're not supposed to stay in the energy of your moon or your ascendant, especially when they're in completely different signs. So you are a Leo. So you've got to step into that light. Leo is the star of the show. Leo is the sun. So get out of the Scorpio underworld shit. Now's the time to get out of it and step into your light, into that bright, energetic, playful Leo archetype, because that is where you are going to shine the brightest. And that's forming a connection with your midheaven. So that's the area of career, your life path. And that is also, it's coming from the 9th house. So that's international travel. But this is someone who is meant to be visible. People are supposed to read your work or your creative ideas or how you want to show up to the public. You're supposed to shine for other people to see. And it's like Scorpio wants to hide. And that's what's so challenging about being a Scorpio ascendant, especially when you have Leo placements, because they square each other and they're so different. And you naturally will embody that Scorpio zodiac, but the truth of who you are and where you will shine the brightest in this lifetime is actually completely different. So that is definitely going to be taking place for you in 2026. All right, everyone. So this has been fun. And we've been doing this an hour, 44 minutes. You all stayed with me. I'm so happy about this. I think I'm going to do this again, potentially tomorrow. We'll see. But it's been really fun, you guys. I'm going to log off. If you would like to check out any of the decks that I used in the live stream, check the description box down below. I put some of my affiliate links, I'm pretty sure. If not, I'm going to update this video after the live stream. And then you can also check out my Oracle card deck in the links down below. And also, I didn't mention my book, Black Moon Lilith Rising: How to Unlock the Power of the Dark Divine Feminine Through Astrology. This is a book that is a comprehensive guide and shadow work workbook on Lilith. So it's also through my lens as a Black woman, which is very different from all of the literature out there on Lilith in astrology, and it offers more of an intersectional view. And I hope to see you all in Adama's Witchy Astro Weekly. This is my new newsletter where the free tier, so if you all want to head over to lilithastrology.com and join the free tier, it's right on the homepage. There's a form there. You can. And you get a weekly astrology forecast as well as a tarot card pull and a guide to where the planets are in the week. And then with the premium version, in addition to that, you get 12 zodiac signs and tarot readings. I also am including a planetary grimoire that is based on astrological magic. And each week I will be crafting practical magic spells for you to empower yourself and with things you can do either from home or you can grab them at your local botanica, spiritual shop, or even like the grocery store. You can get a lot of herbs. And I also am including an intuitive message and also my private podcast, the Weekly Astro Weekly. No, the Witchy Weekly download. And that is going to be every week. So check that out. And I will see you all on the next live stream. Thank you so much for joining me and have a great evening.